What's up, guys? Today we got a story of a teacher that claims that the subscriber is quote-unquote fatphobic because his girlfriend is not fat. Yeah, this is a pretty crazy one, so strap in, buckle in, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing. Those are going away fast, so do it quick. And let's just jump right into the story. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted today's story Oliver. So anyways, Oliver was in class, and there's a girl in this class who he really liked, and we're going to call this girl Ava, right? So Oliver and Ava had kind of been like talking with each other for a while at this point. You know how there's like that one kind of unofficial couple in your class, like they're always flirting with each other, they're always like kind of like, you know, doing a lot of flirtatious activities, yet it isn't official. But like if you're gonna make a bet, like you would bet the whole farm that within a week they'd probably get together, or if not in a week, they're gonna get together at least eventually. So that was kind of like Oliver and Ava. It was kind of a cool I don't know, it was a cool situation for the subscriber because, you know, he was, you know, I don't know, it's a girl he liked and all the signs were looking pretty good. That doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna last, but anyways, maybe I'm just being salty. But sure enough, right, things were looking pretty good. And so the teacher, here's one thing I'll say, guys, is your teacher knows a lot more about you than you actually think. Probably a lot more than you want them to know. Like back in middle school for me, I once had a conversation with one of the teachers, and she just kind of like admitted that she literally knew all the drama, all the information, bro. Like she just went on and rattled down a list of information. Some of it I didn't even know, and I went ahead and verified it. Dude, the teachers know everything. They know the class crush, they know the bully, they know the quiet kid, they know the kid who's going through something, they know everything. So the teacher was well aware of all this. However, as you can probably tell by the title of this video, this was no ordinary teacher. Yeah, so basically, you know, this guy, the subscriber Oliver and Ava, they were like, they were going to become official pretty soon. But throughout the next couple weeks, the teacher kind of went above and beyond to make sure that they wouldn't be together. Like they would basically like making sure that they wouldn't be any groups together. The teacher, like very strangely about like, cause this is like, let's say pretty close to Valentine's Day. This is probably like late January. So just randomly, like all the way, like more than like about halfway through the school year, right? She just starts like randomly doing assigned seating. And she only started doing assigned seating when Oliver started sitting next to Ava. Like literally before that, she wouldn't care. She said, sit wherever, who cares? But then all of a sudden, when she noticed that like Oliver and Ava were like talking together or whatever, it's like, oh, now we got to start doing assigned seating. And Oliver in the back of his head and would like would joke with the boys like, oh my God, I don't know, the teacher's trying to like make it difficult for me. Little did Oliver know that he was actually spot on and the teacher was actually trying to make it difficult for him. Like, bro, like he was actually straight up correct on this one. I mean, little did he know it was for an insane reason. I mean, you guys will see as the story progresses, it becomes more and more apparent until the teacher just straight up says it and is like revealed to be absolutely crazy, bro. But yeah, so anyways, Oliver's kind of like getting a little bit annoyed by this because basically what happens is the teacher says, all right, guys, pick someone to have like a group project with. So the thing is, right, one would assume that if you could pick anyone to have a group project with, that meant you could pick anyone to have a group project with. So since like Oliver and this girl Ava were kind of like, I don't know, vibing a lot, they were like, oh, why don't we do a project together? So you basically at the end of the class period had to come up to the teacher with your partner and then also like a brief summary / outline of what you wanted to do, just because it was like a week-long project and you had a bit of freedom. So whenever the teacher gives you freedom in a project, a lot of times, at least in my experience, they want to check in with you with what you're doing so that you don't like spend the entire time doing something and then it doesn't fit the assignment. Normally, if the assignment's more kind of tailored, like it's like you can only do X or Y, that they just assume you're going to do it correctly. But anyways, right, so, you know, Ava and, you know, Oliver, they get together and they're sitting together at a table, talking, discussing, whatever. And Oliver catches like a weird glance from the teacher. Like the teacher is almost like looking at them strange, bro. So Oliver thinks, okay, I'm overreacting. I'm being weird, like whatever, it's nothing. Oliver then doesn't think anything of it. He only thinks something of it after class, because right before class ends, all the partners go up. They go up to the teacher, or last 10 minutes or whatever. They go up to the teacher, they say, hey, this is my partner, this is what we're doing. The teacher literally just says, cool, cool, cool. Like the teacher gives everyone a thumbs up within like 1 second. Like she's just like, cool, whatever, nice, bet, cool. Just like again and again and again and again like that. However, when Oliver and Ava get up there, the teacher almost like sighs. Like she's like, Oliver's like, all right, that better be like an accidental sigh. That better be some random sigh that came out of nowhere. Because like, I don't know, I do sometimes randomly sigh just breathing and all. And my mom will be like, are you okay? I'm like, yes, I'm just breathing. What? Relax. Yeah, so anyways, Oliver and Ava go up there, and the teacher kind of gives them a look. And Oliver's like, wait, like, what is wrong? Like, what could possibly be not, like, correct here? So, right, the teacher's just kind of looking at Oliver and Ava, and it's kind of like an awkward situation because Oliver doesn't totally understand why the teacher is holding them out for as long as she is. It just genuinely doesn't make a lot of sense because remember, the teacher, whenever anyone else came up, was like, you go, you're fine, you're fine. And then Oliver and Ava came up, and she kind of had, like, this weird look. So Oliver kind of looks at her and is like, ahem, like, hello. So Oliver starts presenting what topic they were going to do. I don't remember exactly what they were going to do, but it was like, it was a reasonable topic. It was definitely in bound of, like, it was in the range of topics they should cover, right? It's not like they came up with some crazy topic that wasn't going to be allowed. But anyways, right, the teacher's like, and then the teacher looks behind them, kind of looking around frantically. And that's when the teacher makes eye contact with another group. And she's like, you two, come up here. So Oliver and Ava are, like, super confused right now. Because, like, okay, like, why is she doing this, bro? Like, this is kind of odd, if we're being honest. So now 4 people are up there, 2 groups at the same time. Oliver and Ava kind of look at each other because it's pretty odd. It's like she just hasn't given them the okay yet, which is pretty weird. And she's like, so I've selected you guys randomly. Cat, by the way, but I've selected you guys randomly. And, we're switching groups. And Oliver is just kind of like, what? Because, like, she let everyone choose their own group. She let everyone kind of get away with it or whatever. But then the second he comes up with a girl he's interested in, now it's a problem. Now it's, like, a major issue that, like, now she needs to choose the groups or whatever. So she's like, yeah, Oliver and Tommy, you guys switch or whatever. So Oliver's like, what? Like, why? She's like, oh, it's just, I wanted to mix some of the groups up, you know? And Oliver just kind of looks at her. You know when someone says, you know, but you don't know? Like, what they're saying doesn't make a lot of sense, but since they follow it up with you know, then therefore what they're saying is super logical. Yeah, that's basically what happened here. So Oliver's kind of annoyed because he's like, well, what are we going to do now? We spent, like, the whole class preparing or whatever. And the teacher kind of looks at Oliver and is like, you guys did not spend the whole class preparing. You guys were, like, flirting the whole time. What? Like, Oliver and Ava, they got plenty of flirting out of class, bro. He's like, you don't need to worry about me, Miss Teacher. They actually, okay, they spent a little time talking to each other, but who doesn't? If you're spending the whole class period on the group project, you're probably gonna, I don't know, add a little extra conversation just to keep it cool. But they actually spent a lot of time coming up with a good idea. Yeah, so yeah, Oliver was a little bit upset and tried to reason with the teacher that, you know, actually him and Ava had spent a lot of time together, putting together, like, a lot of ideas, planning, all that kind of stuff, because it was kind of a big project and they did only have a week to do it. But the teacher's like, now you're just being disrespectful to, I don't know, Sam or whoever she was trying to, like, put him with, right? And looks over, like, Oliver turns around, looks over at Sam and is like, dude, like, that's my boy. Like, I don't care. I'm just saying that, like, I put in a lot of work. And, like, Sam speaks up too, and he's like, yeah, actually, like, I would kind of prefer to stick with my partner. Like, Oliver and I are close, but I don't know, like, we already put in a lot of work together. And that's when the teacher gets, like, visibly angry and frustrated. She's like, I'm calling the rules here. You guys should stop back talking to your teacher. It's a bad look. All this kind of stuff. And they were kind of taken aback. They were like, all right, relax. Didn't realize that we struck a nerve here, but okay, whatever, buddy. Like, sure, cool. we'll leave you alone. So yeah, you know, Oliver and Sam kind of go off and they're like, all right, well, what do you want to do? Because they had to, like, in the next, like, 30 seconds of class, figure out what they were going to do. So that was kind of like one of the bigger examples of the teacher obviously trying to get between Oliver and Ava. But it only gets worse from here. And then the true intentions of the teacher became even more and more clear. Yeah, so anyways, a couple weeks later, so the teacher's continuing to do little things that's just obviously, like, being really weird about, like, Oliver and Ava or whatever, like, trying to keep them apart. But here's the thing. Some teachers just aren't really comfortable with that. It's weird, but some people aren't, like, some teachers aren't that comfortable with, like, students flirting with each other. Like, I had this teacher that I really loved back in the day, but she hated any talking about any physical interaction or anything. Like, even, like, holding hands or flirting or whatever, she hated that stuff. I think she was, like, aromantic or whatever, because she just, like, lived with the dog, and she, like, is like, oh, hugs, oh, that's the worst. Which is, like, I know some people are like that. So this teacher was not like that, though. As you guys can probably tell by the title, she had a different reasoning for disliking Oliver and Ava being together. So this all became more and more apparent one day when this teacher kind of went, like, just had a really out of left field conversation. Like, she was like, I don't know, if you check the syllabus, it was, like, very standard, whatever. Like, it was a very normal day. But the teacher decided to just completely go off the rails, ignore the syllabus, and give a very special presentation instead. So, okay, right, let me set the scene. Oliver and Ava walk into class together, immediately getting the side eye from the teacher. Everyone else walks in, they sit down. Remember, they're no longer allowed to sit where they want. They're in assigned seats for one reason and one reason only. But anyways, they're in their assigned seats, whatever. And sure enough, the teacher, instead of doing what she was normally going to do for that day, completely goes off the deep end and starts saying some really, like, crazy, interesting, well, some really, here, okay, let me just tell you what she says. So they're sitting down, right? And that's when the teacher says, hello, class, like, I know we have a whatever lecture planned today, but I thought it'd be more important that we speak about a much more pressing matter. So she's like, all right, guys, I wanted to tell you a little bit about, you know, choosing people or making choices based off, like, things they can't control. Which at first it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, if you, discriminate against anyone for any reason, like, that's a pretty bad thing. Well, when it's, like, things they can't control. If someone's a bad person, so you decide to not hang out with them, I don't mean like that. I mean because, like, I don't know, if someone's, like, sexual orientation, you're a bad person to them, or that's a bad thing to do. I think that's pretty obvious, though, and I hope we can all agree. Yeah, but anyways, the teacher doesn't go in that direction. She immediately goes super specific and super targeted. She's like, today we are going to talk about fat phobia, which, like, okay, I know I meme on the term a little bit in the, like, the titles and thumbnails and the more Pegasus videos or whatever. By the way, I have a channel with Pegasus, like, we do reaction stuff daily, if not double daily. So that's in the description. Make sure to check that out. But anyways, yeah, one thing I will say is there are definitely situations where people will be, discriminated against because of their size. And while I think it's worse to be discriminated against for something you can't control, it's also not good to do that in general. Like, you should really be accepting to basically all people. I mean, but here's the thing. The teacher went on not to give a really reasonable, like, you really shouldn't judge people by the way they look, which, dude, I totally, like, agree with that. The teacher immediately goes to, quote unquote, fat phobia in dating preferences, which, here's the thing. That's just so out of left field. When it comes to dating preferences or, like, who you're interested in, a lot of times you can't kind of control that. It's just kind of like a gut feeling. And I don't think you should be forced to fall in love with everyone. I feel like everyone watching this video, there's just certain people that they're just immediately attracted to, and some certain people there's immediately not attracted to. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I mean, you shouldn't, like, discriminate against people for that reason, but dating preferences, like, if you don't want to date someone who's 10,000 pounds, like, I don't know, man. I don't really see the issue with that. You shouldn't be a jerk to someone because they weigh a lot, but you don't have to fall in love with them. You know what I mean? And maybe you're missing a really good person. I will say that. Looks are not everything. I mean, after like I heard like after the honeymoon phase, like after a while, you're just like biologically, it's hard to even be attracted to your spouse. So you're really looking for a lifelong friend at the end of the day. But I do think attraction's important in the beginning. I think there's some evolutionary smart people who talk about that. I'm getting off topic though. But here's the thing. The teacher literally says like, it is extremely fat phobic to date someone just because they're skinny and not because, and avoid people who are large. Here's the thing. At this very moment, Oliver doesn't realize that this comment is tailored towards him and Ava. Yeah, I'm not even kidding you, bro. Like, the teacher decided to, like, stop class and talk about how, like, Oliver was fat phobic, but he didn't even realize yet, because she's about to make herself a lot more clear. Yeah, so basically Oliver has no reaction at this point. He's like, oh, okay. Like, Oliver doesn't even realize this is about him. In retrospect, he started to realize all these small details leading up to this final thing, but up until now, he has no idea what's coming for him. So basically, the teacher keeps going on about, like, oh, you can't date people just because they're size or whatever, or not dating a large person or whatever is fat phobic, which, like, here's the thing, like, just saying you're not dating, like dating someone skinny is fat phobic, like, bro, wait a minute. First of all, even if we're going with the logic of you should be forced to date everyone of every size, like, wait a minute, just because you're not dating someone of a super large size, does that mean you wouldn't? Like, bro, are you saying you should have like 1,000 partners in his relationship? Which, so I actually heard some people do that, and like, best of luck, bro. That would be too stressful for me. I don't think I can handle that, but you do you, my friend. Anyways, though, so that's when she goes on to say, and guys, the reason why I'm bringing this topic up is because I've noticed that there's been more romance at the school. As you guys get older, you're more likely to have romantic partners and be interested in girls and boys and all that. And she's like, but let me just say that one thing I will not allow is any fat phobia in the classroom. And Oliver's like, this is becoming a little sus. Yeah, so that's when she goes on to be like, yeah, and I want to let you know, while I'm totally fine with relationships and dating, fat phobia will not be accepted. And she's like, if you're dating someone skinny, that means that you're not dating someone large. Which, first of all, is such backwards, like, L logic right there. It makes no sense. I already spoke at length about why that's stupid, so I'm not going to go over that again. But she's like, from this point on, I will not encourage any fat phobic relationships. And at this point, like, Oliver's starting to realize, wait a minute. And then he starts to think back. He's like, wait a minute. 2 weeks ago, she was being super weird with, like, me being in a group with Ava. And a couple weeks ago, like, she starts giving assigned seats the second when I start, like, sitting next to her. And Oliver's like, wait a minute. Is she talking about me? And that's when the teacher goes on to say, like, yes, I've needed to start assigned seats. I've needed to separate partners in their groups because of the fat phobic relationships that have been going on. And Oliver's like, wait a minute, it is about me. Wait a minute. And the thing is, too, this wasn't a super large class, and Oliver was fairly popular, at least in the sense that he was friends with, like, basically everyone in the class. So, dude, when she's saying this part, like, half the kids in the class, like, turn around in their seats to look at Oliver and Ava, and they're just kind of sitting there like, yo, dude, like, I know this is crazy. Like, I don't know what's going on either right now. So, yeah, Oliver is starting to realize that, oh, word, this is actually about me. Ew, okay. And, like, everyone in the class realizes this too, and it's just super awkward, weird, and uncomfortable. So after class, Oliver goes up to Ava and is like, yo, like, did you hear the teacher? And she's like, yeah, like, I heard the teacher. I was there in class, dude. And, Oliver's like, look, that, like, honestly, I'm going to be honest, like, that's weird. Like, I felt kind of uncomfortable, like, by the whole thing. So what they decide to do is they kind of talk it over, and they're like, look, like, I don't want the teacher to, like, keep interfering with, like, what we're doing, so maybe we should have a meeting with the teacher. So what they decide to do is they kind of, like, Oliver sends the teacher an email saying, hey, can we meet after class? And the teacher responded, yes, we totally can, ! Almost like she was expecting a meeting, and unfortunately, Oliver was about to enter into a trap. If you guys watch Star Wars, or at least the last, number 6, I don't really count the Disney ones in canon, but I'm not going to be a nerd for you guys, don't worry. But when Admiral Akbar screams, it's a trap, bro, he wasn't screaming about the Empire. He was screaming about this teacher about to have Oliver and Ava into her trap. Dun, dun, dun. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment Star Wars down below, because I just made the Admiral Akbar reference. That'll be the secret word of the day. And while you're in the comment section down below, make sure to check out the pinned comment, as there's a link to the Spotify in which I upload these stories as podcasts, as well as a link to all 3 channels I upload daily on, and I actually uploaded more channels. But subscribe to all the ones linked down below, please. It helps me out because they're just kind of new, and every subscription helps out. Anyways, let's get back to it. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. So anyways, yeah, so eventually Oliver and Ava, they go to meet with the teacher after class. So they're just waiting, and most of the people file out, and she has this kind of smile, but it's almost like that kind of forced smile I think you know that the teachers sometimes have. So they kind of knew that something was up. So after all the kids leave, she kind of turns to them and is like, so, I think I know what this meeting is about. And Oliver's like, oh, you do? And she's like, yes. I think you realized that the comments I made last class were about you guys. And they were both pretty uncomfortable. They're like, we kind of felt like after you added the whole, I had to break up, some people that were sitting together and in a group together. And I think we were the only group that you had to break up. So it seemed pretty clear to us that you were talking about us. We don't totally understand how we fit under the thing you were talking about, though. Like, we just are kind of confused, and we want to make sure that there isn't any confusion and that we're on bad terms. And the teacher responds, oh, there's no confusion. You already know this is about to go down bad, bro. You already know this is about to be not a good situation for any of them. So Oliver kind of looks at her like, okay, what do you mean by that, dude? Like, and she's like, you guys, I just want to let you know that, I can't really accept any fat phobia in the classroom like this. And Oliver's just kind of like, well, I mean, I don't know what you're saying. She's like, yeah, Oliver, let's not kid ourselves. There are other people you could have chosen from, and you decided to choose the skinniest girl in class. Okay, here's the thing. Ava was definitely on the skinnier side, but some people, bro, are just born on the skinnier side. Like myself. I'm born like a freaking mine. I was spawned into existence like a freaking Minecraft skeleton. I need to intentionally eat like 4 times a day just to look normal, bro. Like, I swear. And there's people that are born in much skinnier than me. And some people are born in bigger, and some people eat, and that changes the way they look. Look, here's the thing. It's not good to discriminate against people for being bigger. But one thing that's sometimes really overlooked is people being made fun of for being super skinny. Like, I just don't really see the huge difference. I think I can understand how society, quote unquote, just said society ironically, society may or may not like discriminate against, larger people more than like really skinny people. But that doesn't mean that it's okay to to discriminate against one and not the other. Like, bro, relax. Come on now. Yeah, so, Oliver's just so confused, and, Ava looks all embarrassed, and Oliver's like, I just don't understand. Like, I mean, I just like talking with Ava. We have a good connection. And the teacher's like, well, you might, but I'm sure you'd have a good connection with some of your other classmates, even the larger ones. But you would not want to be with them because they disgust you. And Oliver's like, yo, relax. Like, you're putting words in my mouth. Come on. Like, bro, what? I didn't say any of this. And the teacher's like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to get through to you. So this is not going to be a productive conversation. I said my part. Goodbye, guys. So yeah, Oliver and Ava get up and they walk out of there. And Oliver's like, turns to Ava as soon as they're out of the classroom, the door's shut. He's like, what was that? Like, seriously. What was that? And she's like, I don't know. Like, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so uncomfortable. So Oliver's like, no. This is not how this ends. We're not ending with the teacher being super unfair. We're going to the principal's office. Look, Oliver didn't want to bring this to the principal. Oliver didn't want it to go to this level. But this is clearly ridiculous. So yeah, Oliver and Ava, they go up to the principal's office. They go up to the front office and they say, hey, can we get an appointment with the principal? And the secretary's like, oh, actually, he's kind of got I think he's got a free period now. He was supposed to meet with someone, but they did that last minute. Let me call in. Secretary walks in, walks out a couple seconds later. Is like, all right, yeah, you guys are good to go in. So Oliver and Ava walk into the principal's office. They sit down, and the principal's like, so, what are we talking about today? And so Oliver explains the situation. Oliver goes over every single detail, starting from the very beginning. He basically tells you the story, but hopefully not in like 20 minutes, because the principal might have spaced out by then. But yeah, so Oliver's like done, and looks at the principal, and the principal looks at him like, are you sure that's how these events went down? Because it just seems so unrealistic. Like, are you sure a teacher here was like, I don't like you because you chose this girl who isn't in a mobility scooter? Like, I really don't think that's how it went down. So Oliver's like, look, I'm telling you the truth. Maybe I had a miscommunication. Maybe I misheard something. But, needless of that, like, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Ava and I feel uncomfortable. We just aren't comfortable in this situation right here. So the principal's like, all right, well, I'll go down and talk to your teacher about it, and hopefully that'll make things better. So Oliver really didn't know if that was going to make things better. So all three of them walk down, and they walk down to the classroom. And I think the teacher must have had a free period because she was just sitting in the classroom. And the principal's like, hey, Janet, let's say that's her name. Hey, Janet, do you mind if we speak for a second? And so he kind of looks at the two kids and is like, kind of gives them a motion to wait out here. And the principal goes into the classroom, and the door is closed. And, I mean, okay, look, obviously Oliver and Ava immediately go right up to the door and press their ears against it to try and hear what's going on. But the seal around the door must have been actually pretty good because they could kind of make out certain things, but it was very muffled. So unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly how the conversation between the principal and the teacher went down, but I can make some assumptions, such as, one, the principal confronting the teacher on this to see if this is true, because it's so ridiculous. Two, the teacher basically confirming, based on what you guys are about to hear. And the principal, three, kind of startled, stumbling around for words, because he wasn't actually expecting the teacher to straight up admit that, yeah, I'm discriminating against this student because he didn't choose the largest kid in class. Like, what? So yeah, the principal steps out of the room and looks at the two kids and is like, hey, kids, can you, we'll talk later. And so Oliver and Ava are watching as the teacher walks out of the classroom and has such a sullen and stern look on her face. And as they walk by, she gives both of them like the biggest death stare of all time. Like Oliver kind of peed his pants for a second, bro. He was not expecting to actually have his life threatened by such a stare. So here's what happened afterwards. The teacher was put on suspension with paid leave, so very standard, like cushy teacher suspension type thing, and no longer taught for the second half of the semester, or the second half of the year. She was brought back the next year, by the way, but she was forced to kind of go to like take a lot of like education type classes of like not to like discriminate against kids. Kind of ironic that she was making such a stand of, oh, you can't be mean to other people, whatever. And then she ends up kind of having to take a lot of work to deal with that because she got exposed for doing that or whatever. So yeah, word spread super quickly of this because it's a small-ish school. And the fact that the teacher was exposed for basically discriminating against the subscriber because he decided to date a girl who wasn't like overweight, which like he should be fine. He should be allowed to pick whoever he wants. He should pick anyone who speaks to him, dude. Not anyone who speaks to him, but like a person who speaks to them in a sense of like, I like them, not, oh my God, you spoke to me, therefore we're in love. But yeah, it was one of the craziest stories that ever went down at his school. Click on the video on screen right now to help me out, and I hope you have a good day.